Okay, imagine this scenario for a second. You've just inherited a really life-changing amount of money. Significant.
Right.
But you decide, okay, I'm keeping this quiet, a secret, even from your brand new spouse.
Tricky.
Then, just days after the honeymoon, literally days, your mother-in-law shows up at your door with a notary and documents, ready to basically claim it all for our family.
Wow, that's intense.
Isn't it? That gut feeling you had, that little voice telling you to be cautious. It ends up saving your financial future completely.
Okay, I'm hooked already.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we are plunging right into this really compelling, almost unbelievable story of a woman named Natalie Reynolds.
Right.
She inherited not just one, but 3 pretty upscale apartments from her grandmother, Eleanor. And she made this very conscious choice to keep the full extent of it secret from her husband, James Bennett.
And what happens next is this just intricate dance of family, money, secrets.
Expectations colliding. It's got everything.
Exactly. So our mission today, for you listening, is to really unpack all the layers here. It's fascinating. We're looking at the financial strategies Eleanor used, which were brilliant, honestly.
That's too rude.
But also, maybe more importantly, the crucial stuff about boundaries, about transparency, and what a real partnership actually looks like, in marriage, with family.
And the messy parts.
The messy parts. So you should walk away from this with some hopefully powerful insights, how to protect what's yours, how to handle those tricky family expectations.
And how to build trust that's deeper than just bank accounts.
Precisely. It goes way beyond the money.
Okay, so let's start where it all began, with the wisdom that sort of hit the stage. Natalie's grandmother, Eleanor.
Yes, Eleanor. Born 1935. So, coming of age when financial independence for women wasn't really the norm.
Not at all.
But she just defied that, especially after her husband died, quite unexpectedly, in 1963. Left her with, I think, a small insurance payout?
Yeah, not much. And a lot of uncertainty.
A ton of uncertainty. And her advice to Natalie, the core advice was, never put your financial security in someone else's hands.
Wow.
Not even someone you love.
That's a powerful statement, especially to pass down.
It really is. And what's amazing is how Eleanor lived it. She didn't remarry, which, back then was often the expectation, sometimes the necessity.
Right.
Instead, she gets this job, secretary at a real estate firm. But she wasn't just typing memos.
No, she was watching, learning.
Exactly. Studying the market, seeing patterns, opportunities others were missing. And then when the market dipped, early 70s, I think it was,
Great.
She used her savings, her own money, and she started buying property strategically.
Smart.
Very smart. Built this portfolio over decades, quietly buying when others were scared, holding on, just a masterclass in quiet independence.
Wow. So she was really playing the long game, building this financial fortress.
Completely.
And the true scale of it all, that didn't come out until the reading of her will. Can you even imagine being Natalie in that room?
No. The shock must have been immense. The lawyer reads, "To my granddaughter, Natalie Reynolds, I leave my entire real estate portfolio."
Entire portfolio?
Consisting of 3 properties.
3? Not just the one apartment she thought maybe.
Nope. A luxury 2-bedroom downtown worth around, $950,000?
Yeah, nearly $1 million.
Then a waterfront condo, exclusive area, valued at $1.2 million.
Okay.
And then Eleanor's own home, smaller 1-bedroom, but still worth maybe $500,000.
That's not just an inheritance. That's a completely different life trajectory handed to her.
It's staggering, and the immediate impact, transformative. Those 2 leased properties, bringing in over $7,000 a month.
Wow, net.
Well, more than enough to cover taxes, insurance, maintenance, all that, with plenty left over. Even Eleanor's attorney, Frank Wilson, told Natalie, "Your grandmother, exceptionally shrewd investor, she wanted you to have independence no matter what."
It's an incredible legacy. So, okay, Natalie suddenly got this quiet fortune.
Yeah.
And she decides, I'm keeping this under wraps.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, apart from Eleanor's advice, what really drove that?
Yeah, good question. It really came down to some pretty painful lessons from past relationships.
Oh, okay.
She'd seen how money just changes the dynamic. One ex apparently borrowed thousands, didn't ask, just called it our money.
Oh, wow. No.
Another one started subtly pushing for her to cover more of the bills once he found out she earned more.
Ugh. Yeah, I can see how that would make you cautious.
Exactly. So she had this instinct, like revealing this huge windfall could just warp the whole relationship with James. So she tells him she inherited an apartment, the one she lived in,
Okay.
but not the other two, not the full picture. It was pure self-preservation, really. Learn the hard way.
Right. Makes sense. So Natalie's got this big secret, this deep caution. Enter James, the new husband. How did he fit in?
James seemed great, you know? Charming, ambitious, kind, marketing exec at his family's company, came from what he termed comfortable money.
Okay. Father's successful firm, mother from old family money. Got it.
And things move fast. They meet, 9 months later, engaged. It felt like a whirlwind romance. Felt right to Natalie.
Whirlwind is right. But then, the wedding planning. Sounds like that was the first real sign of trouble. Especially with his mother, Diana Bennett.
Oh, Diana, yes. A force of nature is a good way to put it. She had very strong opinions. Insisted on St. Mark's Cathedral, the Windsor Hotel reception.
Way over the budget they talked about.
Way over. So Natalie's stuck. Does she reveal her own money to pay for Diana's dream wedding? Or does she accept Diana's help, which, yeah, you could already feel the strings attached.
Okay. And they ended up deciding on separate finances after the wedding, with a joint account just for household stuff.
They did. And James sort of rationalized it, saying, oh, my parents did the same thing.
Which, thinking back now, knowing what we know about Diana, was that maybe a bit of a red flag Natalie missed? Or just seemed practical at the time?
That's a really sharp point. At the time, it probably just seemed practical, you know, especially given his family background. But looking back, yeah, it definitely hints at those deeper family patterns, control, financial separation. It wasn't quite the independence it seemed.
Right. It set the stage for a different kind of control, maybe.
Exactly. The Bennett way.
In those early weeks of marriage, they started showing more signs, didn't they? James talking casually about renovations.
Yeah, like, oh, eventually we'll knock down this wall, or we'll need somewhere bigger when kids come along. He had this phrase, each generation should build on what came before.
Echoing his mother's values, you said.
Totally. And speaking of Diana, she starts this routine, weekly visits, always bringing gifts.
Gifts in air quotes.
Definitely air quotes.
Yeah.
Things like, oh, these dish towels are rather basic, or this paint color is just so drab. Little digs disguised as presents.
Oh, that sounds exhausting.
Yeah, and passive-aggressive. Completely. And beyond the gifts, Diana was constantly asking these, like, pointed questions about Natalie's job, her money, her future plans. Probing.
Very much probing. And then James drops this piece of information later on. His mother, Diana, had provided the initial investment for his dad, Richard's business.
Okay.
And made him sign a prenup. And apparently, she never let him forget it. For 35 years, always talking about being protective of the family assets.
Whoa. So Diana's view of marriage was less partnership, more potential financial threat.
That's exactly the phrase Natalie used. It's a really striking way to see it, isn't it? It totally reframes things if that's your starting point.
Yeah, no kidding. Partnership goes out the window if you see your spouse's finances as a danger zone.
Precisely. And hearing that, it just cemented Natalie's decision to keep her inheritance secret. She realized Diana wasn't coming from a place of love. It was about asset protection, control.
Oh, okay.
And as the weeks went by, Diana just ramped it up. Her suggestions started including Natalie's career.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Like, publishing is such an unstable industry these days. You know the type.
Yeah.
James could find you a spot at the family company.
Trying to pull her into the family orbit. Totally. And constantly bringing up kids, their future financial needs. Then there was this crucial moment at a family dinner. Diana let slip something about a condo board.
Related to one of Natalie's secret properties.
Exactly. It clearly piqued Diana's suspicion, made her dig even harder.
And Natalie found out just how hard Diana was digging.
Yeah.
Right? In a pretty alarming way.
Oh, yeah. Overheard her. Diana on the phone, sounding really intense, saying things like, yes, I need everything on the Eleanor Reynolds estate, property records, will filings, and the justification. Family security is at stake.
Wow. So Diana was actively investigating her own daughter-in-law's inheritance.
Actively investigating. It was suddenly crystal clear. Natalie's caution wasn't just justified, it was necessary, prescient even.
Okay, so faced with this, Diana basically snooping into her finances, what did Natalie do? She didn't just sit there, right?
No, she acted fast, called her grandmother's lawyer, Frank Wilson, immediately.
Smart move.
Put all 3 properties into an ironclad trust, updated her will, got all the paperwork lined up, creating this clear trail showing the inheritance was solely hers. building a legal fortress, basically.
Just in time, it sounds like.
Just in time. Because then came the moment. James leaves for a week-long business trip.
Uh-oh.
And on a Wednesday afternoon, knock, knock, it's Diana at the door with a man, Mr. Peterson, a notary public.
No way. Just shows up with a notary. That is incredibly bold. What must Natalie have been thinking?
Pure invasion. Diana starts explaining all smooth, oh, these are just simple family trust documents, trying to sell it as all Bennett assets are protected this way. Saves on taxes, dear.
Oh, the dear. Yeah, right?
She waves off Natalie's hesitation, just dismissively admits, yes, I made some inquiries. It's standard procedure for the family. Natalie knew right away this wasn't a request, it was pressure, trying to get her signature under false pretenses.
So Natalie pushes back, asks if James knows about this.
She does. And Diana gets this tight little smile. Clearly, James is out of the loop. And then, like something out of a movie, James calls. Right then.
Perfect timing.
Unbelievable timing. And Natalie, thinking fast, puts him on speakerphone.
Ooh, gutsy move.
Diana tries to control it, starts explaining the benefits of our family financial protection, still implying Natalie just has the one apartment.
But Natalie sets the record straight.
Boldly. She says, Diana, my grandmother left me 3 properties, 2 others that generate rental income. You could just hear the confusion and hurt in James's voice over the phone. What inheritance? 3, and you never told me.
Wow. That must have shattered Diana's composure.
Completely. The mask just dropped, false warmth gone, replaced by this icy manipulation.
What does she say?
Tells Natalie, your secrecy raises serious concerns about your commitment to this marriage, and then warns her there will be implications for your future with James if she doesn't sign.
A direct threat. Using the marriage itself.
Absolutely. A direct challenge to Natalie's independence, her marriage, everything. The temperature in that room must have plummeted.
Okay, so the confrontation happens, the truth is out, mostly. What was the immediate aftermath? James feeling betrayed, Natalie feeling violated.
That sounds explosive.
It was. Huge arguments. Neither one really willing to see the other side completely at first. Just raw feelings of betrayal on his side, violation on hers. The tension was thick.
And Diana didn't just back down, I assume.
Oh, no. Diana then deploys what Natalie started calling her flying monkeys.
Oh. Okay. Like who?
First, James's sister, Tracy, shows up. Starts talking about the family trust, how she and her husband, Michael, eventually saw the wisdom of joining it. You know, gentle pressure, but clearly orchestrated.
Right, the soft sell from the sister. And then
came the harder play. James's father, Richard, calls James, invites him to a men's lunch.
Which turns into this 3-hour discussion about James's future at the company. The result? His position gets redefined with a significant pay cut. Unless he agrees to take on much more demanding responsibilities.
Whoa. That's not subtle at all. That's direct financial pressure on James.
Textbook leverage.
Yeah.
Strategic move to corner James, make him feel the squeeze.
Yeah.
But then James reveals something that kind of unlocks the whole pattern for him.
Yeah. What was that?
He tells Natalie about his Aunt Cynthia, his dad's sister. Years ago, she married someone Diana didn't approve of, and she refused to sign over some inherited art into the family control system.
Okay. And what happened to Aunt Cynthia?
What happened was her husband's business suddenly lost all its connections to Richard's big corporate clients. Basically dried up. They struggled financially, had to move away.
So it wasn't just Diana being difficult about their wedding or Natalie's inheritance. This was a pattern, a long-standing strategy.
Exactly. And Cynthia's story. It was chilling. It showed this wasn't just a personality clash. It was Diana's playbook. Using money, financial ties, Richard's business connections to enforce compliance, control.
Turning money into a weapon within the family, it's deeply dysfunctional.
Deeply. And for James, hearing himself say it, connecting the dots with what was happening to him now, it was a huge turning point, a real aha moment.
I can only imagine. Finally seeing that pattern in his own family aimed at him. What did he do?
He finally admitted it out loud to Natalie. I don't want to live like my dad, basically. Constantly giving in to his mother's demands. And to Natalie's huge relief, he agreed they needed help. He suggested couples therapy.
Wow. Okay, that's a big step.
Huge. In therapy, James really started to articulate wanting a real partnership, based on trust, respect, even if that meant confronting his mother, maybe even leaving the family business entirely.
That vulnerability must have changed things for Natalie, too.
It did. It prompted her to take the next step in transparency. She laid it all out, showed James all the trust documents, the property details, everything, explained her initial caution, why she was scared after meeting his family. She said something like, now I want us to figure out together how we move forward, as partners.
That moment, that full honesty must have been critical.
Absolutely essential. Because the very next day, James did something really powerful. He called his mother, asked her to come over. Alone.
Okay. The showdown, part 2. But different this time.
Very different. They presented a united front. James took the lead, told Diana flat out Natalie's inheritance stays separate, period, as her grandmother intended. And they set clear boundaries about family finances. James actually said, "Our marriage is a partnership, Diana, not a business merger."
Drawing that line in the sand. How did Diana react to that? To them being united?
That's when the dam finally broke. Her whole facade just crumbled. The real reason for all the pressure, the manipulation, it just spilled out. Richard, his gambling problem. It was serious. The family business, his firm, was leveraged to the absolute limit. They were desperate. They needed Natalie's properties as collateral for a bridge loan. They were almost $700,000 in debt.
Wow. Wow. So all that maneuvering, the threats, the pressure, it was panic.
Panic and pride. Natalie apparently asked her, "Why didn't you just ask for help?" And Diana's response was stiff, immediate. "Bennetts don't ask for help. We solve our own problems."
Incredible. Such a revealing statement about the family culture. So, okay, they know the truth now, the desperation behind it all. What did Natalie and James do?
They offered help, but it wasn't unconditional. It came with strict terms.
Okay, what were they?
1, Richard had to get professional help for the gambling, non-negotiable.
Good.
2, James confirmed he was leaving the family business, taking a job at a different firm, Meridian Marketing, making his own way.
Right, independence.
3, Natalie agreed to offer her downtown apartment, just the one, as collateral, but with ironclad legal agreements protecting her ownership completely.
Smart, very smart.
And 4, Diana had to respect their financial independence from now on, no more meddling, and Richard had to bring in professional management for the company. Oh, and James insisted Diana apologize properly to Natalie.
A real apology. And did Diana actually break down after all that?
She did. To everyone's surprise, she started crying. Genuine tears. Admitted everything is falling apart. Said she was just trying so hard to hold everything together. It was this unexpected, raw moment.
Huh. That must have shifted things. Humanized her, maybe. Even after everything.
It really did. It didn't excuse her behavior, but it opened a door. A possibility for a different kind of relationship moving forward. Less antagonism, maybe some fragile collaboration.
And did things actually change? Were there real transformations?
Remarkably, yes. Richard actually committed to recovery, started seeing a financial therapist alongside his gambling addiction counseling.
That's huge.
Diana, maybe more reluctantly, started therapy too. Began unpacking some of those deep-seated, unhealthy family money attitudes. James absolutely thrived at his new job. Got promoted to creative director within a year.
Good for him.
Natalie got her promotion too at the publishing house. And get this, with James's full support, she actually bought a 4th property. A little fixer-upper they worked on together.
Okay, that's a real sign of partnership. And Diana, any lasting change there?
There was a really tangible peace offering. Diana gifted them her own grandmother's beachfront cottage. Significantly, it was outside the Bennett family trust system. A real gift, no strings.
That is significant. Wow.
And James even said something really profound. He said Natalie had taught his family about emotional independence, called it a different kind of inheritance, but just as valuable. He saw the power of Eleanor's legacy through Natalie.
That's beautiful, actually.
Yeah.
So wrapping this up, what are the big takeaways for you listening to this deep dive?
Well, first, I think, is that financial independence in a marriage, it's not really about secrecy. It's about mutual respect. Respect for autonomy, for choices, but built on healthy transparency.
Right. Not hiding things out of fear, ideally. Second, legal protection matters. A lot. That trust Eleanor set up, absolutely crucial. You really do need to ensure your assets are protected, sometimes even from people you love, unfortunately.
Third takeaway, those family dynamics, they run deep. Generational patterns are powerful. Understanding them is key, and breaking them. That takes real conscious effort, sometimes professional help, like we saw here.
Definitely. Fourth, true partnership, it really does require vulnerability and trust. Natalie's initial secrecy, totally understandable, right? But it did create tension. Radical honesty eventually, and setting those boundaries, that's what worked.
Which leads to the 5th point. Boundaries actually improve relationships. Those clear limits they finally set with Diana and Richard, it didn't destroy the relationship. It led to respect where there used to be resentment. It defined a healthier way to connect.
Absolutely. It wasn't about cutting them off, but relating differently.
Exactly. And for Natalie and James, their future really did flourish. James moved into a leadership role, actually in a nonprofit's marketing division. found more meaning there.
Oh, interesting. And the really lovely news. Natalie got pregnant, they were expecting, and they very consciously decided to set up a trust for their child right away, planning to teach both financial literacy and emotional boundaries, breaking the cycle.
Starting fresh. That's wonderful. And Eleanor's legacy.
It lives on, too. They established a charitable foundation in Eleanor's name, provides financial literacy education for young women. So her impact extends way beyond just the properties. It's about independence, confidence.
That's a fantastic way to honor her. So the final thought to leave you with, think about how Natalie's initial caution, born from past hurts, which led to this huge crisis, how it ultimately forged a stronger marriage, a healthier family dynamic eventually.
Yeah, the greatest inheritance maybe wasn't the apartments or the money. It was the wisdom, the courage, the trust needed to protect it all, and then build that true partnership through the conflict.
So the question for you is, what's the true inheritance you're building or maybe seeking in your